Within the pharma space, Kiran Mazumdar, Chairperson Managing Director, Biocon, now joins in to talk a little bit about some USFDA issuances as well as the outlook ahead. Great to have you on board. To begin with, the USFDA has issued the complete response letter for the dossier for insulin, that's Glargine. Can you tell us what this means?
To be looked at in a very positive way, because the main ask from the agency is to basically resolve the observations that were made during a pre-approval inspection in the Malaysia facility. And we have already submitted a CAPA, and we have even submitted an interim report. And we expect to complete the CAPA implementation in a few months. And then we can obviously then seek approval thereafter. So I think the good news is that there is no concerns around the quality of the product, the clinical data, or the science behind the product. So that's very, very good. So basically, we are just going to focus on the implementation of the CAPA, which we believe we can do it expeditiously.
Right. Now, CRL does not include any outstanding scientific issue, which is said in the release. Can you elaborate why this is important?
Well, in most cases, if there is a scientific or a clinical concern, you have to repeat clinical trials or you have to go back and do some work on the product. So that takes a lot of time because, by the time you start having to do more clinical trials, then obviously it takes time. This is just really about CAPA implementation and resolving their observations, and we are well under control. And we believe we can implement it expeditiously.
Right. Also, Glargine launch, if you could just highlight about the timelines, because it doesn't seem like that's going to change post-March 2020. Do you think there is sufficient time for response to the CRL, the complete satisfactory CAPA program as well for this drug?
Yes, that's what we believe. We are confident that we will meet the commercial timeline that we had indicated earlier, which was March 2020, and we are well underway for that.
Right. One more concern, Kiran, for the market has been that Amgen has launched the first biosimilar in the US, contrary to the market expectations of the first launch coming in from Biocon. What do you make of this? Are investors and analysts failing to understand that it's a very small size that they've launched, and the size of the drug is, is almost the same?
Yes, so I think, basically Amgen was very late to get approval, because if you remember, we were the first company to be approved for biosimilar trastuzumab way back in December 2017. And of course, we've had to wait a long time for the US launch because of the settlement that Mylan entered into with Roche. Amgen being a large pharma, I don't think they had any concerns, and they've chosen to launch at risk. And of course, they've also been successful in vacating certain patent issues with, with the courts. The thing is, as you rightly said, they've launched the 440 mg formulation, 420 mg formulation, which is really not the presentation that is being marketed today by Roche. Their 150 mg formulation is also expected to get approval, but later on in the year. And I don't think there will be a big gap between their approval for the 150 mg and our launch, which is expected later this year. So we expect that we will be very successful, because we've had the most successful launch of any biosimilar in the US with our pegfilgrastim full filler. So we believe that we can actually focus on a similar kind of strong entry into the US market when we enter later this year.
Now, recently, market participants are also saying that there's worries about price erosion for biosimilars. Is this a worry like we've seen for the generic markets?
I think you should put it into context. First and foremost, there are not too many competitors. And I think if you look at the kind of competitors we have in the market, we have big pharma, we have virtual companies, and then we have the integrated players. There are very few integrated pure play generic players. The big pharma is not likely to go in for heavy discounting. The virtual companies also are not, if they do go in for, that kind of discounting, they put their business at risk because they have to outsource manufacturing and everything else. And there are not too many players in that either. So really it's up to the integrated generics companies, largely companies like Biocon, Mylan, Teva, and Sandoz. And we believe that because there are very few competitors in each of the molecules, obviously the discounting will not be as steep as you find in generics.
Right. The same release, Kiran, also mentions about FDA conducting a CGMP inspection of one of your biologics drug product and that facility in Bangalore. What was the nature of the observation and how many drugs are filed from this facility?
Well, let me clarify. This was a surveillance audit which came up where the inspector came up with 4 observations. These observations are largely in the nature of continual improvement, largely focusing on improved documentation. We do not believe this will impact supplies from this plant in any way. And we are very confident that we can even resolve the observations very, very soon.
All right. We look forward to interacting with you soon. Many thanks for joining in and giving us a view on how things are shaping up. That's Biocon for you.